everybody out there, you're tuned in to 91.8 The Fan. You're in my corner, and I have a very special guest in the corner who's been here before. Would you like to unveil your secret identity to the masses?
You'll have to guess by my voice. No, I'm kidding. Grant George. Hi, guys. Thanks for having me back. Jackie, what's happening?
A lot has happened since we talked to you. I believe we talked to you almost 2 years ago, if not longer. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
exactly. A lot has changed.
Definitely. I think now we're going on a wonderful record of over 400 of these lovely interviews. And
Wow.
I know it's crazy.
Yeah, no kidding. That's great.
But at the same time, it's nice because we get to revisit with some of our favorite guests and talk about, the things that they've done in between, keeping up to date with your work, which is always a plus.
Yeah, well, thanks for having me on. There definitely have been a lot of changes. I think last time we talked, there was a lot of game stuff going on, and now there's just a lot of series work, which is great because there was a time when that was looking kind of doubtful. So I'm glad everything's still working.
Yeah, I think the last time we had you on, we talked a lot about the Warrior of Light, which is obviously a fan favorite. People are
Yes.
still playing Dissidia, and the second one hadn't even come out yet at the time.
Yeah, that's
So,
right.
now that you've seen, the reaction between the first one and the second one, have you noticed anything different?
It's funny because the first time when we recorded the first one, I didn't realize that it was going to be. First of all, I didn't even know it was Final Fantasy. Like I said on the last interview, Bob, who's the director of that, just so low key, and he doesn't give any information out. So, yeah, come work on this game with me. So I show up on a game, and it ends up being Dissidia, part of Final Fantasy, and not just that, but Warrior of Light. So for the second one to come out, it was even, I think, more anticipated. People really were digging the first one and ready for the next one. I hope there's more. I hope the series keeps going on.
I hope so too. I'm really bad. Like I'm one of those gamers that buys games and then they sit there in the plastic wrap forever in my
Ah,
pile of like 100 games to play. So I've taken Dissidia with me to maybe 30 conventions in the past 2 years to go through it, and I've replayed because you're the first character in the first one. I've replayed it over and over and over again. Sometimes my data gets corrupt. Sometimes I restart because I'm like, where did I leave off? And I still have the second one in the wrapping sitting
oh
next
my
to me.
gosh. Yeah, but if you're doing 400 interviews a year, then that's not even a year. That's in a week, right?
Oh, I wish.
There's no
It
time to
never
play
gets.
games.
I know, it's so sad. See what I do for you people? No, I'm not.
I know.
Well, another thing that a lot of the listeners have been talking about, and when we announced you would be on the show, a lot of people started being like, yes, is you're a part of a series that a lot of people really love, which is FateZero.
Yeah, that was a cool job to get. When I first heard that was coming back, I thought, oh, okay, well, here comes Gilgamesh again. Wrong. Everybody's different. We've got the same characters that look the same, but then there's all these different players, people that are playing those voices. The funny thing is that Tony Oliver is the director of the show, and he actually played Lancer in the Fate's Day Night. So now he's directing me playing what used to be his role, which is really confusing.
Well, now I have to wonder, did you have to try and match his portrayal, or did you have to do something totally different?
Totally different. Yeah, I actually read for a bunch of different roles for the auditions of these, and they didn't want us to sound like the original voices. And a lot of people have asked, why aren't they having the same people come back and play these characters that are obviously in the second, well, this is the prequel, so in Face Day Night. And the explanation, the best one that I can get, and you'll have to look this up, but is that these souls that precede these characters, they're like different souls, and until they're actually in those other bodies, they don't become those characters. Does that make sense?
Well, for the people who don't know the series, it's like something very deep.
Yeah, it's something deep, and I don't know. Hopefully, that's not a spoiler alert, but I don't think it is. But it's something to that effect, where these are some may have the same names, but they aren't the actual same people. Something like that.
Well, that's kind of nice because if you had to essentially do a portrayal of your director's character, that's a lot of pressure, I would think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is a fun character to play. He's such a honorable knight. He really takes his knight knightdom very serious, very honorable. And so it seems a little ridiculous in some of the battle scenes of, we can't just do this. We have to announce ourselves and we have to fight honorably and blah 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 with the rules of knighthood. But it's kind of cool. It goes back to sort of the old rules of the knights.
It's got some style to it and not just substance.
Yeah,
slapping each other
exactly.
with the white glove and all that fun stuff.
That's right. A pox on you. No, yeah, style wise too. It's visually stunning, and the soundtrack is just it's amazing. It's a great series. It also helps when we're working now that we all have, the plasma screens that we can work off because we used to have like old grainy video that we'd have to do all the dubbing work to. So now everything looks really crystal clear. It's like watching it for the first time.
And it's really nice now. I've seen a lot of studios do paperless too. Like people are on their like iPads looking at their script, which is insane to me.
Yeah, exactly. I do that here at home too for all my auditions. I've saved reams of paper and toner for many years by just sending it to the iPad. The only thing that's a little tricky is that I tend to like just, I've got chicken scratches all over my scripts because I think out everything that I'm doing. So I can't really do that when it's on the iPad, but I do like the greenness of it where it's so easy just to scroll up. And the only thing they're missing though is a spit guard because I get pretty animated in the booth there. If I'm shouting at my enemy, you better have something to cover that iPad.
The engineer comes by and he's like, "Why do I have to clean this up? This isn't in my job description." Gee.
Exactly. Yeah.
They need a pop filter for the iPad, and then you're all
Yeah.
set.
It's like those things they have at the buffets, those little plexiglass thing that goes over all the food to protect it. They need that for their iPads.
That's hilarious, actually. I wonder if that would mess with any of the echoes or anything, thinking about it.
I don't know.
That's all tricky.
Yeah.
I'm not in a studio. I'm at home, technically, I guess a home studio with my mic stand and my pop filter and my shock mount and all that fun stuff. So I don't have to worry about that stuff too much like you guys do.
Yeah.
I take the easy route.
That's right.
But no, it seems lately people are doing the more home studio thing. Like it just seems so many people can just stay at home and even do full sessions, not just auditions.
Yeah, for sure. It's a little trickier when we're doing anything that's sync to picture. I'm sure that'll come around somewhere where it will work on the iPad too. I mean, I've done auditions to picture on my home studio, but you got to have that. There's a nice thing to actually going to a studio and having someone else running the levels because when you're loud and screaming, you don't want to have to run out of the booth and go set the levels down and then come back in for the little whispery stuff, and it gets a little tricky. But I do manage to work from home a lot, just not on this stuff yet.
Or maybe one day you can get a dog or something and train him to be your engineer, and it'll
That's
be
right.
perfect.
I got to get my wife Jessica G, but she's always busy working, then she's never here. So
Well, that's a good thing though.
yeah, you guys are going to be talking to her too.
Very excited because it'll be the first time we'll be talking to her.
Yeah, and she's a veteran of this stuff back when adding the English dubbing was really starting to take form for the anime when it was starting to come over here and really find its foothold. So it'll be interesting to talk with her and get some of those stories from the
Well,
trenches, the early trenches.
you make it sound like the army.
Totally. It was. Everyone was just kind of learning the ropes.
Everybody
So
making them scream on Monday so they couldn't do anything else any time of the week.
exactly.
And then you had timing to go after. You didn't have the three beeps like today. What was it? Rhythmo band? Rhythm?
Yeah, exactly. They would have that, and then because it wasn't digital, it wasn't they can do a lot of stuff in Pro Tools where they can just compress things a little bit so it takes a little less time or stretch things out if you need to. So there's a lot more that we can kind of get away with. We'll record something and the director will say, okay, slide that 7 frames back, which means slide it over to the left, start it a little earlier so it matches the picture. Whereas in the old days, when you're recording on, I'm sure, tape or whatever, you didn't have as many opportunities to do take after take or to really see how it synced up to the picture. It's a lot easier now, for sure.
And the fact that you can do it from home, which as I know I've said that earlier, but it boggles my mind that you can
Yeah,
do so much with technology. So it makes me think like in 5, 10 years, what will you be doing?
I know. It's pretty scary.
It's insane.
We'll never have to get out of bed. We'll just lie there and everything will be above us on the ceiling.
That would be lovely.
It's gonna be like Minority Report. We'll just slide things over in midair and start running our lives, recording our
Well,
sessions.
it's perfect. I'm already set for it. I'm in my pajamas as it is.
It's good.
Comfy as it can be. Haha.
Oh yeah.
Well, now another show that you were involved with is Nura, which
Yeah.
I believe is brand spanking new.
Pretty new, yeah. And that one's going to be, it's coming out on Neon Alley, I believe. It's where it's streaming. Really cool show. I'm doing Night Rikyo and that. Not the young version of him. That's somebody else. But then anytime the sun sets, then I come out.
And now, can you tell us a little bit about the character and the story for those who might not have heard of it yet?
Yeah, it's tricky because I only see my half of it, so I don't ever know what the other Rikyo does in the daytime. But my whole thing is that I'm trying to assemble this. Basically, I have a yokai blood from my grandfather, and I think I've got like a quarter yokai blood or something. And my mission in life is to be to gather this whole parade of 1,000 demons and fight all these people that have wronged my ancestry in the past. And basically, the Rico, the young one, is able to do he takes care of all the human type business during the day, but when it's time to fight all the creepy monster stuff, then that's my job at night.
That sounds kick butt. Like the
Yeah,
dual personality thing, and it's like you have your own minion almost with the other part of you.
exactly. I'm starting to see a theme here because this is what's been happening, like with playing Gen and Kakaishi. It's the same thing where they're like these half-breed type things. So I'm starting to think that as long as it's a half-breed character, they can cast me in it.
That's perfect. I hope all the directors out there heard that. You
Yeah.
know your man.
No, I love that though. I mean, that's what any actor thrives for is that conflict that just the person that feels like the outcast or can't fully be who they are, and they have these double lives, or they have these just this inner conflict of what they are and how they can who can see it and who can't. It's a definitely a relevant theme that's in a lot of things now, and it's something that's very relevant for our society today too.
Yeah, and it gives a lot of depth to the character too, because in anime specifically, you see a lot of stereotypes, but it's something that helps sort of separate that, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's why playing Gen Shishio in Kakashi was one of my favorite roles. It's just there was so much depth to it, and really a real character arc, a real evolution of kind of where he started, and even in flashbacks of his childhood to where he is now, and just the conflict that he has with the people that he's in contact with, and who can know what he is or what he's not. It's hard. I mean, that's the challenge for an actor, and that's what I love. I love something that I go in and I really got to dig in and find that meat to play, where it's not just that stereotypical "I'm the hero and I've come to save the day." I mean, you've got the conflict, the meat, the grit, where you got to dig in and bring that character to life with all its flaws and with all its strengths.
Well, I'm glad you're passionate about those characters because I think those are the type of characters that the audience relates to the most too.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and it goes back. I think a lot of people can identify with that. I mean, all of us have been victims of bullying or have felt betrayal or felt outcasts or felt that there's things that we have to hide about ourselves. I mean, everybody can identify with these characters that just have a hard time being themselves, and being able to see someone act that out on the screen, or live that as a character helps them hopefully to find a voice for themselves.
Well, for the fans out there who haven't checked out Neon Alley, which shame on you, you should do that now because we're going to
Yeah.
take a short break here on 91.8 The Fan, but don't go anywhere because we have everything you want and nothing you don't. And my special guest isn't going anywhere. We've tied him to the chair. He's stuck. Hey, everybody out there, you're still tuned to 91.8 The Fan because if you weren't, then you wouldn't hear me and you wouldn't hear me, with my guest who we've untied so he can escape at will, but we've locked the door.
Got some serious rope burns on my wrists here. That's brutal.
That was Chris. That wasn't me. I'm not taking responsibility for harming you. I don't want your wife tomorrow to get angry at me.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, where did this ball gag come from? No, it's on the radio.
Yeah,
Huh?
it's normal. It's fine. But now, for the listeners out there who want to know about any future projects, is there anything that you can talk about that you're working on, or anything that it has come out recently that we haven't touched upon?
Well, of course, FateZero, Nura, we talked about. Hey, if you haven't seen Kakaishi, go see it. I'm also in a new series called Zetman. I don't know if you've heard about that one. They just released a cast list on that. I don't know a lot of information about that, but I'm in that playing a character called Kuga. And games wise, going back to work on, well, I recently, well, a while ago, worked on some Disgaea type stuff. So that's still always going on. I never know when that's ever going to come back, but it's always around.
Now, I'm going to assume it's Prinny that and because you've done various characters, so
Yeah, I'm not sure what's one's coming in the next one, but yeah, Prinny is one of them, and Axel, and Mid Boss, as he loves to be called so much. No, King. What you call it? I can't remember his name. Dark Katanas, Fires. There you go.
well, for the fans out there, this is actually just a little nice little trivia for you. We have a live chat, and our mascot, her name is Bree. She exists in the live chat, and people can type dot Prinny button, and she will throw a Prinny at somebody
Oh,
randomly in the chat. So all of our fans are very familiar with Prinny because they get hit with them on a daily basis.
nice. You get a big dude right in your head.
I love it. I love Prinny so much. I have like a Prinny hat. First time I went to Anime Expo back in 2009, I got a Prinny hat for me and my old boss at the
Wow.
store I worked at called Game Tag. And he would wear it all the time at work and he would look ridiculous because he was 28 years old, but it was funny for the kids that came in. So
Wow. Does it have a beak? Little wings sticking out the
yeah, it
side?
has like it has like the little ears and behind it has little wings and it has the beak and his buggy eyes and it has like little flaps on the side, kind of like a winter hat, like a fuzzy winter hat.
Okay. Right.
They need to get you one of those. I'm sure
Yeah,
you'll look
exactly.
dashing.
Yeah, I can wear that to a convention. That is something else I'm starting to do now. I'm finally starting to go out and make the rounds, meet some people.
Well, do you have any conventions coming up soon?
I do have one. They haven't announced me yet, so I have to keep it under wraps.
Dang.
But I'm sorry about that. But but yeah, I'm starting to do that. Just, I've been doing this for 10, 12 years or so, and I get a lot of feedback, emails and occasional phone calls. So that's why I had to take my phone number off my website. But um, just people expressing that they love what we're doing and the shows that are made and the characters. And it's always cool just to kind of go out there and meet them in person and know that the work that we do has some kind of impact on them. So I'm glad to be a part of this, and I'm glad to be a part of these these shows and these stories.
Well, for the listeners out there that want to keep track of where you'll be in person so they can stalk you in a nice way from the
Yeah.
bushes, do you have any place where you announce that sort of thing, like Facebook or Twitter or your website?
Yeah, you can go on Facebook. I just started setting up all brand new social media stuff. So you can go on Facebook, grant.george.5661 or something like that. That is right. Grant.george.5661. And I have a Twitter account too. I think it's Grant George VO or at Grant George VO. And then grantgeorge.com. You can always go to my website and I try to keep it up to date with some cool stuff.
Perfect. Stalkers, if you find any reminiscence of his email, or not his email, but his phone number, please don't call him. That would probably be bad.
Yeah, this was actually on a Saturday morning that happened at like 7 a.m. The phone rang and they called me by some name that I played in a game and couldn't believe that I was married to Jessica, who's also a character in this game. And so that started a whole conversation.
And you
Totally
were
had.
like, you were still half asleep. Like, yeah.
Right. Well, he couldn't believe that, our two characters are not married in the game. However, we're married. So it was really, then come to find out it wasn't even a boy, it was a girl. I don't know. It was a very long story and scary.
Well, I'm glad that you didn't have any other like you didn't have 12 calls a day. That would have been a little
Ah.
bit obsessive.
Yeah, exactly. No, emails are cool though, or Facebook or whatever. Yeah, I'll keep everybody up to date with what's going on. I have a new movie that's coming out towards the end of the summer, which will be really cool. It's called The House of Magic, and it's a 3D animated full feature. It should be in the movie theaters, made by the people. It's called Illuminata Pictures, and they did Fly Me to the Moon and some other animation films that are just visually stunning. They work with a company out of Belgium for all their animation, and it's gorgeous. So that will hopefully be done. I'm kind of the main protagonist in that. It's a fun movie, all about an old magician and all the things that go crazy while his nephew's trying to tear apart his life. That's me, the nephew.
That sounds super exciting, especially when you're excited about how it looks. That really
Yeah.
makes me excited because, today people are getting so creative with animation that you're seeing so many different styles.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, this company's work is just brilliant. It's up there with Pixar and all the greats that are out there now. And the preview that I've seen, I don't think it's up online anymore, but the preview that I've seen, I mean, it's up there with like the movie Hugo, where it's just moving in and out of stuff. I mean, just beautiful cinematography of just one continuous shot. It was just great. So if that's any indication of how the rest of the movie's going to look, it's going to be a great film.
Well, I can't wait to see that, and I'm sure the listeners can't because they're going pretty nuts in the chat and trying to find it if they can. So they're really good at that. I got to give
Yeah.
them props for that. So now, for the listeners out there, though, is there any, last words you want to give them? Since not last words as if you're going to die, but since we're at the end of the interview, like words of wisdom, dating advice, forecast for tomorrow's weather, anything like that?
Just keep watching. I really appreciate it. And I love hearing from people and the things that, move them. These shows really are, I think, important for the viewers in some way, whether it's just being able to have an experience in a fantasy world, these different storylines that are created from these imaginations that are astounding, or, what are these characters or the stories speak to them in some way and help them just get through a day. I'm proud to be a part of that and a part of the magic that I grew up loving. So it's awesome to be a part of it, and I always love hearing back from you guys. And I look forward to meeting you some out on the road too.
Yeah, I hope we see you at a convention. At least one of my little minions sees you at least, because we go to about 40 a year. So
Oh,
if we don't if we don't see you, I will be very surprised.
yeah.
It might not be me though. It might be somebody lame on staff like Chris.
As long as they're wearing the printy hat, I'll recognize them. Oh, you sent them.
Well, I will make sure to send it to them with all the camera equipment. Then they'll be all set.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much. It was so nice to talk to you again.
Likewise. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it.
And for all the listeners out there, if you missed any of this interview, don't fret. You can find it on the website within the next few days. So keep your eyes peeled to 918thefan.com and your ears tuned to 91.8 The Fan, where we play everything you want and nothing you don't.